Hello, my name is Deborah Yates and I'm a respiratory physician working in Sydney in a large teaching hospital. I've been in practice for more years than I care to remember. I also work in a community general practice, taking care of patients with all types of different respiratory diseases and who come to see me from all different ethnic and social backgrounds. I'm daily involved in the care of COVID patients on the hospital wards and also after discharge. I see quite a lot of patients who present with acute and chronic respiratory illnesses and who require hospital admission. I have many patients who have either had the AstraZeneca or the Pfizer vaccines and who have been very worried about the possibility of COVID-19 and in particular about the different vaccines that they should take. I'm very well aware of the dangers of COVID-19 and in particular the current Delta strain. I provide advice every day to patients whom I've cared for over many years, suffering from asthma, COPD and other lung diseases, including rare lung diseases. Many of my patients are also immunosuppressed. Overall, these patients are very worried and confused by the mixed messages they've had regarding the vaccines and also about how their individual disease will impact upon their vaccine requirements. I have to say that my experience overall has actually been very good with the vaccines. I've had a couple of patients admitted recently who were convinced that their symptoms were all related to the COVID vaccine, but eventually, after appropriate testing, they turned out to have different problems totally unrelated to the vaccine. But I have to say that I've not had a single problem with any patient with chronic respiratory disease who's had anything other than temporary side effects with either the AstraZeneca or the Pfizer vaccines. Of course, these patients are slightly older and the risk of side effects is less in those who are older. These vaccines in clinical practice seem to have fewer side effects than many of the others which we use regularly every year, such as flu or pneumovax. Smita Shah asked me to share what we've done in our family. I'm married to another respiratory physician and we have a 19-year-old son. We were both offered vaccination of the Pfizer vaccine early on in the year because of our work with COVID. My husband, who's a professor of respiratory medicine at another hospital, decided to opt for the AstraZeneca vaccine, while I just took what was on offer, which was the Pfizer. His judgment was that the side effect profile of AstraZeneca was perfectly safe, and he was happy to be treated with a vaccine which had been developed using conventional techniques and where long-term side effects were more predictable. Also, AstraZeneca is the one pharmaceutical company which has made its vaccine on a cost recovery basis in collaboration with academic researchers at Oxford and which has tried to assist the world with providing low-cost vaccines. In the event, my husband and I were both fine and had no side effects from either vaccine, other than some very mild fatigue. Thus, it didn't seem to make any difference in our household which vaccine we received. When it came to getting our son vaccinated, we discussed this fully with him and also with his helpful GP. He could actually have been given the Pfizer vaccine as part of our hospital's family vaccination program. Our son, however, eventually decided to have the AstraZeneca vaccine, as well as us, hopefully without too much influence from us. I have to say that neither of us was worried in any way about this decision. He went ahead and had it and didn't have any problems at all. By doing so, he managed to have his vaccination early and also enabled someone else who might be at higher risk than he is of side effects to have their dose of Pfizer. We think he correctly judged that his risk of dying from COVID in the current pandemic, as the son of 2 healthcare workers regularly exposed to COVID, was much higher than having any side effects from the AstraZeneca vaccine. With the current Delta strain in New South Wales, I would strongly advise everyone to get vaccinated and not to hesitate until it's too late. It's best to use the AZ vaccine which is currently available and made in Australia, rather than waiting for a vaccine which may take many months to become available. The risk of side effects is low and the potential benefit is enormous, so please go out there and get your patients vaccinated today. Thanks for your attention.